typically I start my garden cleanup in November. The best time to start a garden cleanup would be November into early December, January at the latest, depending on the weather. What I typically like to do in my cutting garden is think about seeds for next year. So here I have a few snapdragon seeds that I definitely want to keep for next year. They're pure white, beautiful. And then also I will keep enough to share with my friends and other master gardeners. So we'll just scatter the seeds and then also collect some. And when you do collect your seeds, make sure that you put them in a dry space so that they don't get moldy. That's the worst part of all, having moldy seeds in the spring. Okay? So when we're thinking about putting our garden to bed also, we'd like to go ahead and take some of the annuals that are smushy and icky and collect them. You can get a nice container, put it all with you in the garden as you're going throughout the beds. And as you're picking up, think about what you'd like to compost. These are perfect materials to add to your compost bin. So then also what you can do once you've added your material to the compost, you will probably not be able to use it this spring. It won't be rotted down enough, but by next fall, more than likely you'll be able to add this to your garden beds again for mulching. Like Ron and Phyllis, I also like to leave my perennial flowers standing throughout the winter, provide seeds for our birds, as well as cover, not this particular plant, but cover for some of our little critters that might want a bit of shelter from the snow and rain. This is a coneflower. My birds absolutely love this. Of course, they're almost gone. A couple of examples of perennials that you would definitely want to cut back before this has happened is some of the asters as well as some of the catmint. What's going to happen now is I've left this too long and all of these seeds are going to fall to my compost and mulch and going to make new plants. Now that could be a good thing if you want to have new plants for next year to add into your garden or to give to your friends. I don't particularly want to do that, so I'm going to have a lot of pulling to do next season. So one thing you want to make sure in the fall and the early winter is that you pick up any sort of diseased leaves, especially around rose bushes and also fruit trees. Anything that you know can get splashed up on any of the stems for next year, this will spread, and you want to make sure you put these in a bin. Not your compost bin. This has to go into trash. And go ahead and put your alder leaves or your willow leaves, any of your native deciduous trees leaves into your compost bin. In the fall, if you'd like to go ahead and rake up your leaves before the rains start to fall, that's a great option. For me, I waited too long, so this year I'm going to go ahead and leave my alder leaves and my willow leaves in place as a living mulch. Now, I will want to get these up soon, probably before the spring starts to come in, because then the slugs are going to have lovely hidey holes. As far as doing your ornamental grasses and your roses, now is not the good time to cut them. Go ahead and do that in the late February, and I'll show you what to do. For your larger ornamental grasses, what I do is I take 2 bungee cords, hook them together around the whole stand of grass, and then I use my hedge trimmer to cut the grass in one go, probably about 8 inches up from the ground. The other type of ornamental grass that you do not want to cut back is something like this. This is a carex, and this is what we call evergreen, and you'll see that it's actually looking pretty good in the winter. So you will know that this is an evergreen, probably also from the tag that you bought from the local nursery. So fall also is a really good time to plant trees and shrubs. And this fall I planted this Hall's Hardy almond. This particular specimen looks like it's standing up okay in all of our wind and rain that we've had. But if you do live in a wind zone, please, if you must stake your trees, make sure that you stake it low, and then the cords that you use, make sure that they're loose so that your tree can actually move. You don't want it so that the tree can't move, because number one, it might break from the top from the wind blowing, or it won't allow the tree roots to start to settle in and take hold into the ground. Let's have a note also about our water features. Now, a bigger pond like this, we'll go ahead and leave the pump submersed because it's pretty much safe. If you have a smaller garden water feature such as clay pots or glazed pots of any sort, go ahead and tip the water out, take the pump out, and then store them inside where they'll be nice and dry over the winter. Otherwise, what could happen is the glazing on some of these pots will crack with the freeze and the thaws that we constantly get throughout the winter here. Also, let's talk a moment about tender plants. You'll want to bring those plants inside, either to a greenhouse, a basement, your garage, somewhere where it's not going to be getting the frost, the snow, the freezing rain. The one thing that is imperative to do as early as you know that there's going to be a frost, it's time to bring in all of your hoses. It's time to shut off and drain all of your irrigation systems, no matter how big or small. And also, it would be a very good idea if you could get some sort of protective cover to go ahead and put over all of your hose bibs. One final chore that you'd like to do in the now probably late fall and early winter is to go ahead and clean all of your tools. Make sure that they are free of debris. Go ahead and if you see that the shovel is no longer nice and sharp, go ahead and either sharpen it yourself or take it to a professional who will do that for you, as well as all of your tools such as your pruners and loppers. Like this one has been used so much this season, it will definitely need to be sharpened as well as cleaned. It's got pitch on it. Late fall and early winter and then on into winter is a great time to start thinking about next season. Next season is all about bulbs in the early spring. And the best tool that I find for my soil, which is very pliable, is this bulb auger. And with this auger, I can plant daffodils, I can plant crocus, I can plant any bulb I want with this, and I can do about 420 in an hour. An auger like this can be found at local hardware stores as well as online sources. When you're thinking about planting bulbs in your garden, what you'll want to do is also think about the critters in your garden. Typically out here where I live in the woods, we have voles and moles and mice that live underground. I cannot plant crocus or tulips or squills, anything small that the mice and voles will eat. I don't get the show, so why do I plant them? So I don't. I do plant a lot of daffodils because they are impervious to all of our critters. Even if you do have moles, and as they're working underground, they can push up some of those smaller bulbs. So be mindful when you're thinking about looking through the catalogs and loving all these beautiful flowers. As well as then you need to think about the critters on top of the ground. You need to be mindful of the rabbits who love to nibble all of the new growth of grape hyacinths and other little tiny sprouts coming up. And then deer love tulips. Deer love crocus. So either put them in pots, perhaps put them in a sheltered area, and again, daffodils never fail. The last thing that you want to think about, well, literally, is weeding. But if you pull all of your weeds as much as you can now, these little guys will not go to seed and they will not multiply, so that then next summer you don't have to be pulling all of their little newbies. Another couple of things that you want to keep in mind is during the season, the birds are still hungry, they're still thirsty, so keep your feeders full. Keep all of your bird baths as tidy as you can, even though we have a lot of falling leaves right now, but they will certainly enjoy it. And then otherwise, make sure that you enjoy the season, relax, read your catalogs, order your seeds, and breathe.
Another aspect of good garden design is making sure that you have something interesting to look at all year long. Wintertime can be especially challenging, but it can also be rewarding and colorful in unexpected ways. For example, planting shrubs that yield winter berries not only add color to a chilly gray day, they also attract birds to our yards. Ornamental grasses also add interesting contrast and delicate texture to a scene, providing movement to the rhythm of our winter breezes. Besides creating privacy screens and some protection from the wind, variegated evergreens also do their part to provide winter color by offering refreshing visual pop against an often somber winter sky. Trees and shrubs with interesting branch structure become architectural statements when laden with snow or seen against a winter sky, in addition to adding some color to an otherwise monochromatic landscape. Those with peeling, twisted, or colored bark become dramatic focal points after their leaves have dropped. And of course, there are actually a few brave shrubs that bloom in the winter months. Nature's way of reminding us that though our gardens must rest, there is, in fact, beauty in every season. Winter dreamtime will come to an end, heralded by countless bulbs peeking courageously from the damp, dark soil, only lightly warmed by winter sunlight, a harbinger of spring calling to us from just around the corner.
In my garden, I plant carrot seeds. In my garden, I plant carrot seeds. Earth is my trusted partner. Earth is my nurturing mother. Earth is my protecting father. Earth is my beloved child. Earth is my trusted partner. Earth is my nurturing mother. Earth is my protecting father. Earth is my hope for the future. In my garden, I plant carrot seeds.